this entire investigation they did in Nashville. And this is now becoming a $300 million industry. Gender transformations, yada, yada, yada. And so to assume that there isn't some sort of financial incentive involved, to assume that there isn't some sort of win involved outside of how somebody is subjectively feeling or the gender dysmorphia they're having. So I wanted to play this for you guys.
2018, Vanderbilt opened its Transgender Health Center. There was an article published in the Tennessean at the time that announced the new clinic, quoting its medical director, Dr. Shane Taylor, who said that the goal was to, quote, meet our patients where they are in their journey and help them with the resources they need. But then in a lecture during Vanderbilt's LGBTQ Health Grand Rounds lecture series, which live streamed to Facebook but was viewed by almost nobody at the time, Dr. Taylor was a bit more detailed in explaining.
Yo, the degree of
he has
petty.
to throw it in. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
You guys did your little baby stream. No one gave a crap, but I caught it.
Yeah, you ain't gonna let that slip.
The hospital's actual motivations for expanding into quote-unquote transgender care. In fact, she said that she personally helped to convince the institution to make the move, based in part because she claims it's the right thing to do, but also in large part because gender affirmation surgeries are, quote, big money makers. She boasted that a phalloplasty, which is the construction of an artificial penis, which is made using flesh cut from other parts of the body, she said that those could be worth $100,000 when you factor in all of the follow-ups that are necessary. Listen.
Starting in January 1st of 2017, according to the Affordable Care Act, insurance carriers are mandated to cover medical expenses for trans folks. Some of our BUMC financial folks in October of 2016, started a couple years ago, put down some costs of how much money we think each patient would bring in. And this is only including top surgery. This isn't including any bottom surgery. And it's a lot of money. These surgeries make a lot of money. So female to male chest reconstruction can bring in $40,000. A patient just on routine hormone treatment, who I'm only seeing a few times a year, can bring in several $1,000s because that requires a lot of visits and labs. It actually makes money for the hospital. Now, these I got from the internet, but it's from the Philadelphia Center for Transgender Surgery, which does a lot of surgery for patients. And I just want to give you an idea of how much these bottom surgeries are making. And I think this has to be an underestimate. This is for a vaginoplasty. They're quoting roughly around $20,000 for a vaginoplasty, but that doesn't include your hospital stay. That doesn't include your post-op visits. That doesn't include your anesthesia, your OR. So I would think that this has to be a gross underestimate. I think that's just like the surgeon's piece of it, which anybody who's ever been in a hospital knows that that's like 10% of it. And then the female to male bottom surgeries, these are huge money makers. Again, I think this has to be an underestimate that they're quoting around $20,000 for a phalloplasty. There's been different things that I've read that said it could be up to $100,000. Dr. Lineker, who's our surgeon, says that there's entire clinics where the entire clinic is supported just by their phalloplasties, and that is like a fraction of the surgeries that they're doing. These surgeries are labor intensive, they require a lot of follow-ups, they require a lot of OR time, and they make money. They make money for the hospital.
Wow. So who's paying for this though? Is it considered healthcare?
I think sometimes it's the health insurance.
Yeah.
Other times, I think they're trying to make it tax funded in some of these situations.
See, that's wild because I mean, when I got my cochlear implant, that's like a $250K, I think it was for the surgery.
Sheesh.
I had to fight hard to try to get, like, insurance wasn't going to cover it. They didn't deem it as medically necessary. And then so like I had to fight hard to get the state to cover to get the insurance to cover most of it, and then they left me with another amount. I think it was like $20K or something, and then the state helped out with some of that. So I ended up with a $5K bill. But I was thinking like what I had to go through. It was like months of trying to like talk and escalate and work it out. But like, so if they would deem something like that medically necessary, to me, that's not right at all. You know what I mean? If my hearing isn't medically necessary, you know what I mean?
Come on, it's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
Let's play some.
Though it may be, there are some medical professionals who take the Hippocratic Oath seriously and object to carving up a person's body in this way. Vanderbilt was apparently concerned that some of their own staff might fall into that category. So at another Grand Rounds lecture in 2019, a woman named Dr. Ellen Clayton, who's a pediatric specialist at Vanderbilt, told those assembled that if they refuse to participate due to their religious beliefs in these procedures, there will be consequences. Conscientious objections are problematic, she explained, and those who object really shouldn't work at Vanderbilt at all. Listen.
If you are going to assert conscientious objection, you have to realize that that is problematic. You are doing something to another person, and you are not paying for the cost for your belief. I think that is I think that's a real issue. So I think, so So yes, Vanderbilt, if someone has a conscientious objection to participating in this sort of surgery, it probably has to accommodate you to the extent that you can find another person who can do your job, who doesn't have an objection, other things of that nature. But I just want you to take home that saying that you're not going to do something because of your conscientious, because of your religious beliefs, is not without consequences, and it should not be without consequences. And I just want to put that out there. We are given enormous. If you don't want to do this kind of work, don't work at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
They're saying if you push back and you're a Christian or you have religious beliefs, that
Yeah, but see, I mean, so I don't know how this works because I haven't thought about it. But like does the government own Vanderbilt in that sense or whatever? Is this a government? In other words, what I'm trying to say is, are they a private company? If so, they can choose who can work for them and who not, and what the policies and rules are for that. You know what I mean in that aspect. But I mean, I think it's just it's messed up how people are just like, you can silence people who just don't agree with certain things, and especially force people to try to violate their convictions, and if not, then they're going to be, without a job, But I mean, there's an element to that that's fair for people who want to hire certain people with a certain type of mind. You know what I mean? I'm not going to hire an atheist to come,
edit your videos, Christian apologetic videos,
be another voice on my channel or something like that. So I can understand that, but that's wild. I mean, I wonder how far this stuff's going to get before like if this swung so far that people are just like, all right, this is kind of wild.
I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, if you're looking at places that were more progressive with this, specifically places in Europe, Australia, there's already an onslaught of lawsuits against doctors in these clinics by folks that transitioned in, and now they're in their mid-20s, early 20s, because they were, Britain and those places were kind of ahead on this stuff, and they're now suing those doctors. For like malpractice, like I was an impressionable teenager, and you guys should have pushed back on this. And there's a whole community of like detransitioning adults, and a lot of them will never have an orgasm.
Yeah.
A lot of them will never, are infertile or fertile? Infertile.
Yeah.
A lot of them are infertile. A lot of them will never be able to have kids. They don't know if the women, even if they undo the puberty blockers. Puberty blockers are castration, like it's a chemical castration. And so this is getting younger and younger where they're giving this stuff to, kids at 14, 12, even as early as 11.
I mean, what's so hard about it is like you can't get a tattoo until you're 18 because they think that you're not fully developed enough to have a rational, make a life-changing decision in that sense. Because even for men, like the prefrontal cortex doesn't fully develop until you're about 25, and the prefrontal cortex is used for decision making. You know what I mean? And so for women, it's around like 23 apparently. But I'm saying, so like you're gonna make mistakes. Like, you know what I mean? Like even for me, like I was old enough and got tattoos, and there's some stuff that I like wish I didn't get. You know what I mean? And I was 20, I was like in my early 20s or something like that. So to allow a kid to make a decision that's that serious is really unfortunate. And I think this is the problem with basing policies and stuff purely off of subjective decisions, especially when the people are younger. Like if you're an adult, you do what you want, you know what I mean? Because that's America. So feel free to do what you want when it comes to what you want to do with your body when you're adult. But the thing, we have to protect kids because they're not capable of making those decisions. And I understand from their side, they're considering how the kid feels and that sort of thing too. But I mean, we consider how kids feel all the time too. It's like you have to be, there has to be guidelines when it comes to something that permanent, you know what I mean? And that damaging.
My wife just dropped a quote on me and she said, feelings don't think.
Yeah.
Feelings feel. It's okay to feel what you're feeling, but your feelings can't think. You need to think.
Yeah. Well, there's a role for feelings. There's a place for feelings in God's design. Like I don't think, like sometimes feelings play a lot of important roles. They illuminate life and stuff, but they're not good for decision making in a lot of different cases. Yeah,
guys, thank you so much for hanging out. We appreciate you. Make sure you're subscribed here. Make sure you're subscribed to John's channel. Make sure you're subscribed to my main channel. We got to get out of here. Love you guys. Peace.
And it said that Simeon blessed God.